Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Star Wars Abridged. Today we will be jumping into Chapter 2 of Charles Soule's Light of the Jedi, which is the first book in the canon High Republic series. So, in the last video, we went into Chapter 1, where we met a character named Hedda Cassett, and we saw that she was piloting this ship, and that she was taking these people to the Outer Rim worlds so that they could start new lives, but they had a collision with an object in one of the hyperspace lanes, which resulted in the death of all of the crew, including Hedda, and we don't know if any of the passengers survived or not. But today we'll be jumping into Chapter 2, and we will be meeting a new character. If you've not subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that button, or if you're new here, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Leave a like on this video, and if you're interested in hearing an abridged version of Timothy Zahn's Heir to the Empire, check out that playlist that I have linked at the top of this video right now. But without further ado, let's get into Chapter 2 of Light of the Jedi. So, after a pretty intense and heartbreaking Chapter 1, we are then taken to a planet called Soule Prime in the Outer Rim for Chapter 2. And the chapter heading tells us that we are 2.5 hours to impact. We still don't know what the impact is going to be, but we now know that there is some sort of a countdown because Chapter 1 said 3 hours to impact, Chapter 2 says 2.5 hours to impact. This chapter is told in the point of view of a new character that we meet named Mervyn Getter. Mervyn is a third-class scan tech for the Soule system, and he is currently at work when we meet him. But even though he's at work, he is more than ready to clock out and call it a day. He's probably tired and just ready to get out of being behind a desk, but the real reason that he wants to leave early is because tonight is the night that he may finally ask out a woman named Soule, who works at the local bar. Mervyn's internal dialogue tells us that he is Mirialan and Soule is a Twi'lek, and that two people from those species getting together is not a common occurrence in the galaxy at this point in time. And just as a little reminder, this takes place about 200 years before the Phantom Menace. However, Mervyn says that attitudes are changing and the possibilities are endless, so that gives him a little bit of hope that they might be able to get together. Mervyn thinks of his job and mainly about how boring and uneventful it is and all of the duties that come along with his line of work, but he continues to catch himself thinking of Soule and how much he is attracted to her, how much he wants to be with her, stuff like that. He finally decides that, yes, tonight is the night. He is going to ask Soule to go to dinner with him, and he is so excited about it. He's been saving his money recently. He's got a perfect place picked out for them to eat. All he needs to do is get his shift done. Leave work, and he's done. He can go do it. So Mervyn then looks over at his co-worker, whose name is Vel. Same type of name as we saw in Andor, definitely not the same person. She is another scan tech, but one class higher than him, so she's a class 2 scan tech, and he wonders if, since she's a little bit above him, if she would let him take off a little bit early so that he could, go and get himself ready for this big night that he's got planned. As Mervyn is looking at her, he is thinking that she's probably reading one of her Jedi romance novels, which he has no idea why or how anyone could be interested in those in the slightest. But he's thinking about that, and then he's debating more on whether or not he should ask her if he can leave early, but he ultimately decides that there's no way she would let him, and as he's kind of going through all this, he sees something come across one of his monitors. So Mervyn thinks this is odd, because nothing is supposed to be coming into the Soule system for another 20 minutes, and part of his job duties is knowing and having a log of and a schedule of when things are supposed to be coming into the system and things are supposed to be departing from the system. So he's pretty much in the know and has everything down to an exact time of when things are coming and going. Nothing is supposed to be coming in at this point, but something is. So Vel sees that Mervin has picked up something, and she looks over at his monitor, and by that time there's about 10 little dots on the screen rather than just one. Vel looks at her own screen, and then more dots pop up on Mervin's. Vel says, maybe it could be asteroids, but Mervin doesn't think so. They're moving too fast, almost at the speed of light, and he's like, I just don't know if that would be possible for them to be asteroids. So Mervin's like, okay, just run an analysis. He tells Vel to run an analysis, and she's like, well, I don't really know how. So she spent too much time reading her books and not paying attention to trainings, especially when they got new equipment, so she has no idea what to do. So Mervin takes it upon himself. He runs the analysis, and he realizes that there are 42 unidentified objects moving at near light speed in the Hetzal system. So he's still at this point trying to figure out what they could even possibly be. He theorizes, could they be ships? Could we be under attack? But he quickly dismisses that. He's like, there's no way. He goes over the asteroid theory again. Once again, is like, I just don't think they could be moving that fast. Maybe it could be a space storm. But he just doesn't know. He doesn't actually know for certain. It is then revealed that Hetzal is the planet that Bacta is farmed from, and that new reports throughout the galaxy say Bacta could revolutionize medicine throughout the entire galaxy, and that's not really important to the chapter, but it is an interesting tidbit of information. But anyways, Mervin sees that the dots on the screen are increasing in number, and they're getting extremely close to where they are in the station. And Mervin and Vel at this point both agree that they just need to get out. They need to leave. And Mervin actually watches as one of the objects smashes into a satellite on his monitor, and they're ready to go. But Vel's like, well, we kind of need to send a system-wide alert first and make sure everybody knows what's going on so that they can get out. So Mervin agrees, and they go back to their desks and they work together to get the alert out. After they're done with that, the two get up and they're prepared to run out. They have a plan to go for a nearby shuttle so that they can make the most logical and easiest escape possible. But in the blink of an eye, one of the objects crashes into the monitoring station and completely vaporizes everything, including Mervin and Vel. Just like Chapter 1, we have met a new character, grown a little bit attached to them because we understand what they're wanting to do and their personalities. In this case, Mervin wanting to finally ask out Sela, and then they are completely ripped away from us. But that's how Chapter 2 ends. Basically the same as Chapter 1, with our point of view character dying at the end of the chapter, but pretty depressing so far. And will this happen again in Chapter 3? We'll just have to continue on and find out. But won't have to wait too long because Chapter 3 will be coming from the time of this recording in a couple of days. But I hope that you have been enjoying Light of the Jedi so far, even though we're only 2 chapters into it. As I said at the beginning, make sure that you are subscribed and leave a like if you enjoyed this video. As always, I thank you for listening, thank you for hanging out, and as always, may the Force be with you.